She caught her husband cheating in bed, slapped him hard, and then married her billionaire boss, Earn. Welcome to Beyond Color Stories. I'm your storyteller, James. Before we dive in, if my loyal family is still here, drop a comment right now saying, I'm here. I really want to know how many beautiful souls are still walking this journey with me. Honestly, most viewers have disappeared. This channel has taken a hard hit, and I won't lie, it stings, it truly does. I've poured my heart into every story, every word, hoping to bring light and emotion into your day. Watching it all fade away hurts deeply, but I believe in something greater, divine timing, and I believe in you. So right now, I'm sending a quiet prayer from my heart to yours. May your nights be gentle, your burdens lighter, and your heart find reasons to smile. May healing reach the places you didn't even know were broken, and may love surround you, even when the world feels cold. If these stories have ever touched you, even once, please subscribe, not just to help this channel rise again, but to show that stories filled with love, emotion, and depth still matter. That we, this family, still matter. Now let's step into today's tale of love and passion. Let's begin. Sandy stood in front of the mirror in their tiny apartment, tying the last beads into her beautifully styled braids. Her fingers moved with practiced ease as the morning sun filtered softly through the cracked blinds. Her reflection was stunning, smooth brown skin glowing with a quiet radiance, eyes wide and honest, carrying a strength only a woman who loved too deeply could possess. Her beauty came effortlessly, but her posture bore a subtle weight, the kind that comes from carrying two lives on one set of shoulders. She took a breath and grabbed her handbag. Another long day ahead. But she smiled through it, like always. Because that's who Sandy was. She kept going. For love, for dreams, for a marriage she once believed meant everything. Randy, her husband, lay sprawled across the couch, the TV remote dangling loosely from his hand. The muffled sounds of video games echoed low from the night before. He didn't stir as she walked past, still deep in sleep, indifferent to the responsibilities Sandy silently carried alone. She didn't resent him. Not yet. Her heart held only love and a deep-rooted hope that maybe one day he'd find his spark, get a job, and stand beside her with equal strength. For now, she told herself he was just lost. Not lazy, misguided, not ungrateful. That morning, she kissed him softly on the forehead, whispering, I'm off to work, babe, before grabbing her keys and stepping into the city's hum. The streets were alive, filled with people chasing dreams. Sandy was one of them. Not for herself exactly, but for the man she loved, for the future she envisioned. She worked at a sleek corporate firm in a downtown skyscraper, a world of polished heels and cold ambition. Yet Sandy brought warmth wherever she went. Colleagues admired her quiet grace, dedication, and sincerity. But no one admired her more than Richard, the boss she hadn't even realized was watching. Richard was a striking man, confident yet subtle, a billionaire whose wealth whispered rather than shouted through tailored suits and discreet gestures. Behind his office glass, he often caught glimpses of Sandy in the hallways. He noticed how gently she spoke to everyone, how she stayed late without complaint, and how her rare laugh could light up the gray monotony of their world. He saw how she never brought lunch for herself, only coffee and a sandwich she saved for the ride home. It broke something inside him. Knowing someone like her gave so much and asked so little. Many women courted him for his status and charm, but none held the quiet dignity Sandy did. That realness made him hesitate every time he almost told her how he felt. His anonymous flowers were always returned. The promotion he offered was politely declined. Once, during a late meeting, he told her, You deserve more than this world gives you, Sandy. She only smiled and replied, I'm married, sir. Loyalty was her crown, even when it weighed heavy. At home, that loyalty was wasted on Randy. Not only was he jobless, he was reckless. When Sandy left each day, he scrolled dating apps, flirted online, and sometimes sneaked out claiming errands, returning smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. Too tired and too trusting, she never asked. Her trust was a clear, deep river, believing love was enough to keep their marriage afloat. But each day, It was poisoned by his betrayals. Still, she worked, still believed. Friends questioned her. Why let him do nothing? She'd reply, a wife must stand strong. You don't leave when it's hard, you love harder. One evening, Sandy sat at her desk, eyes heavy with fatigue. Richard appeared with a cup of tea. You look tired, he said softly, concern in his voice. She smiled faintly. I'm fine, just a lot on my plate. He wanted to ask who she leaned on, but he knew, no one. She was the foundation, the support, and still, her shoulders never sagged. He watched her return to work, wondering how someone could be so strong, so selfless. That night, Sandy came home with groceries. Randy was gone as usual. She cleaned, cooked, folded his laundry, left his dinner on the table, and headed to their shared bedroom. Sitting in silence, her heart was full, yet aching. She didn't know her life was about to shatter, that the man she defended would soon betray her in the cruelest way. But that day wasn't here yet, for now she dreamed. She believed in happy endings, in love waiting patiently, in loyalty waking sleeping hearts. At work, Richard watched from afar, his heart silently aching for the woman who gave everything to someone who gave nothing. He never forced his feelings. They pulsed quietly beneath the surface, waiting. Sandy didn't know about the war in Richard's chest. She was unaware that her kindness had slowly peeled away the guarded layers of a billionaire's heart, that every tear she shed made him wish he could hold her close and say, "You deserve better." But she held on to the life she'd built, blind to cracks in its foundation. She didn't see the lipstick stain on Randy's collar or his locked phone, didn't know about strange numbers texting late while she worked overtime. She focused on keeping the lights on, the fridge full, the rent paid. Love was worth every sacrifice, she told herself. And in quiet moments before dawn or while folding laundry, she whispered prayers to a God she still believed watched. Please, just let him see how much I love him. When Richard invited her to a client dinner, she always said no. My husband is waiting, she'd say. Richard nodded, knowing Randy wasn't waiting at all. He was probably at a bar or someone else's bed. But Richard said nothing. He admired her faithfulness more each time she refused him. The more she pushed him away, the deeper he fell. He respected her boundaries but dreamed she'd someday look at him the way she looked at Randy, only this time with someone worthy. Every evening, Sandy walked the same streets home, city lights dancing on her cheeks, her beaded braids catching the breeze. She passed laughing couples, soft street music, kids chasing joy, and smiled. Even caring so much, she still found reasons to smile. She didn't know her sacrifices were seen. She didn't know her love was a quiet revolution. At home, Randy pretended to care. He kissed her cheek, asked about her day, then returned to his phone. She'd bring him dinner, massage his shoulders, fall asleep beside him, unaware his phone lit up all night with messages not meant for her. Every morning she woke with love still in her heart. She was the kind of woman who could forgive anything except what was coming. Richard, sitting in his office with the skyline behind him, looked at her empty desk each night and wondered, how can someone so full of light not see her own worth? He never chased her but waited, knowing Sandy's love wasn't meant to be wasted. When the truth finally shattered her illusions, he hoped he could be the one to help her heal. The office lights dimmed late at night, casting soft shadows as the city glittered beyond. Richard leaned back in his chair, fingers laced behind his neck, eyes lingering on the doorway where Sandy had just passed. Her scent, jasmine was something uniquely hers, hung in the air, leaving him days longer than he wanted. She'd waved politely on her way out, her calm smile piercing him deeper each time. He sighed softly, not just from fatigue, but from a quiet yearning, like a storm held beneath the still waters. Richard was a man of power, a name commanding rooms. Yet around Sandy, he felt like a shy boy struggling for words. He watched her not possessively, but in wonder, as if she were a masterpiece moving gently through chaos. Her presence steadied something inside him. She never raised her voice, never arrived late, never came unprepared. But there was a tenderness beneath her professionalism that no one could hide. It wasn't just her beauty, though unforgettable, but the kindness she showed everyone, from janitor to CEO. She moved through halls like she was meant to uplift them, and Richard, despite everything, found himself waiting for moments when she'd glance his way, even for a second. It began innocently, admiration for a hard-working employee, but grew roots tangled deep in his soul, blossoming into something he couldn't deny. One late evening, the office nearly empty, her desk lamp the only light, he approached with a warm cup of tea and placed it beside her keyboard. "You've worked hard today," he said softly. She looked up, surprised, eyes softening in thanks. In that moment, he almost spoke the truth, told her how her dedication moved him, how her smile made his lonely life lighter. Instead, he asked, "Would you ever consider dinner sometime? Not business, just you and me." Her answer came without hesitation or anger. "I'm married, sir. I'm loyal to my vows." Those words echoed like thunder in his chest. Beautiful, painful, uniquely hers. Richard nodded, masking disappointment with a small smile. "Of course," he said, stepping back. "Forgive me for overstepping." That was the last time. She never brought it up again or treated him differently. He admired her more for it. He knew she didn't judge him. She lived by a code of truth and loyalty, and that made her radiant in ways he couldn't ignore. Since then, he never crossed that line again. His feelings didn't vanish but quieted, folding into daily kindnesses. He made sure she never got stuck with impossible tasks, ensured she was recognized in meetings, eased her workload when he saw her fatigue. Each day, she unknowingly taught him about restraint, respect, and how love. It wasn't about possession, but presence. And still, his heart betrayed him every time she laughed with a colleague. He envied the sound. Every time she looked tired and refused to complain, he ached to take her burdens. Sometimes late at night, when his penthouse echoed with silence, he would imagine what it might be like to come home and find her there. Not tired, not overworked, but adored, cherished the way she deserved. He would picture himself placing kisses on her knuckles, massaging her tired feet, drawing her baths and cooking for her, instead of watching her carry the world alone. He dreamed of watching her sleep peacefully, knowing no pain, no betrayal. But then he would open his eyes and remember, she was married. And even though he knew that man didn't deserve her, Richard refused to be the reason she broke her own heart. "She's rare," he often whispered to himself, staring at the ceiling in the solitude of his bedroom. "And I won't ruin that." He wasn't a saint, but he respected her too deeply to act selfishly. If love meant letting her stay loyal to someone else, even while it broke him inside, then that was the price he would pay. Her vows had once been sacred, but the man who promised to guard her heart had broken them. Now she was protecting herself. The room was quiet except for the scratch of her pen and the sharp breaths she took when the weight of a word hit too hard. Folding the papers carefully, she slipped them into an envelope and placed it in her bag. This act was more than legal. It was a declaration to the universe. She would no longer live discarded. At dawn, with puffy, red-rimmed eyes, Sandy rose and took a long, hot shower, her baptism of fire. No tears this time, just a cleansing heat. When she dressed, it was simple. Dark jeans, a navy sweater, boots, and no makeup. Today was about truth, not appearances. She left the envelope on the kitchen table, weighed down by a Bible, not for symbolism, but practicality. Yet something heavy lingered in the gesture. Meanwhile, Randy woke with a dull ache and an emptiness where she used to be. Her scent still faint on the sheets hit him like a blow. Panic rising, he searched the house. She was gone, and the silence suffocated. Sandy didn't linger after leaving the note. The house no longer felt like hers. Memories were tainted. Quietly, she shut the door behind her, not with a slam but a whisper of finality, and stepped onto the porch. The world moved on, but hers had shattered. Still in that, she found strange comfort. With each step down the stairs, strength returned, a strength forged from years of compromise and pain. Walking through the waking city, Sandy stopped before a glass building. Her reflection startled her. Older, worn, but resolute. Inside, the familiar lobby smelled of wood and coffee, small comforts amid her storm. At the end of the hall, she hesitated before the door marked Richard Hawthorne, Managing Director. Her heart thundered, heavy with grief and courage. Opening the door, she faced Richard, who rose instantly, startled by her presence and the pain in her eyes. "Sandy," he breathed, stepping closer, concern soft in his voice. She didn't answer but looked at him with raw honesty before whispering, "I'll marry you, Mr. Richard." Time seemed to freeze. Richard blinked in shock, then gently took her hand. Why now? Her story spilled out. Betrayal, silence, years of trying, the night she finally left. He listened without interruption, heart aching with each confession. When tears fell, he wiped them away tenderly. "You didn't deserve that," he said quietly. She pulled back, steadying herself. "Don't promise me the world, Richard. Don't fix me or offer dreams. Just promise sincerity. I want truth, safety. To know I'm not a choice made from pity." He looked at her, seeing her not as broken but brave. "I want to earn your heart, not because of your past, but because you choose me. Let me do this right. No rush, no sadness." For the first time in years, she felt seen, not a victim, but whole. "Let this be a beginning," she whispered. "No fairy tale, just truth." Richard nodded, eyes misting. "Step into this day with me. No promises, no rings. Just two people facing the future with trust." They stood side by side in soft morning light. No grand gestures, just quiet, fragile hope. And slowly, as days passed, she found strength in his steady presence. The warm coffee, the quiet dinners, the blankets offered without words. Proof that healing begins not with fairy tales, but with simple, sincere acts. The silence between them was healing, comfortable and gentle. He never saw her as broken or fragile, only as someone worth waiting for, someone worthy of being watched as she slowly came alive. One evening, beneath the silver moonlight, she laughed, a real, unguarded laugh sparked by his story of mistaking a goat for a dog on a mountain trail. The surprise in her eyes made him smile quietly, treasuring that moment like a secret gift. After that, she began to open up, sharing forgotten memories, light dreams, and small, everyday thoughts. He listened without interruption, as if her voice was a melody he never wanted to end. His kindness was quiet and steady, holding doors not to impress, asking about her day and really hearing the answer, matching his pace to hers on evening walks, letting her choose the music even if he didn't understand it. Slowly she bloomed again, like a flower after a harsh winter. One night, as rain poured outside, she stood at the window, lost in thought. Richard watched silently from behind, and when she asked why he was so kind, he simply said, "Because you deserve it." For the first time in years, she believed it. His patience was louder than words, waiting outside her door with warm tea after nightmares, never pressing for explanations, simply offering presence. She smiled more, genuine and easy, drawn to his thoughtful gestures and quiet love. Their fingers brushed and intertwined on starry walks, speaking a language neither was ready to name, but both understood. Richard never dwelled on her past or compared himself to old ghosts. He lived in the present, helping her believe in tomorrow. Every shared cup of coffee, every unspoken moment, slowly stitched her heart back together. And though she hadn't spoken it yet, her heart leaned toward him, recognizing that healing and love could be soft, patient, and real. With Richard, love was no longer a battlefield, but a refuge, a gentle, steady place where two fragile souls could find harmony. In the quiet comfort of his presence, she began to trust, to hope, and to believe in forever again. Volumes of affection blossomed between them, their conversations flowing effortlessly, no longer shadowed by the past but lifted by dreams painted in hope and light. They spoke of laughter-filled mornings, quiet evenings wrapped in each other's arms, and the small, beautiful moments that made life worth living. The scars she once carried began to fade, replaced by a radiant glow of healing and renewal. For the first time in years, Sandy felt truly cherished, not as someone broken, but as a whole woman worthy of love's purest expression. Her love for Richard grew naturally, a steady flame warming her heart and lighting their path ahead. Fear gave way to quiet certainty. She had found the right man, a sanctuary in a world often unkind. One evening, as the sky blazed with sunset hues, Richard took her hand, his touch grounding, his gaze intense. With hope and reverence, he whispered, "May I marry you now?" The simplicity of his question held a promise of forever. Sandy's heart overflowed with joy. This was the start of a new chapter, written not in pain, but in love's luminous light. Each day became a celebration of their union, a dance of hearts entwined. They built a life of resilience and transformation, Richard's steady love soothing old wounds, and hers illuminating his heart. Their home was a sanctuary filled with laughter, shared dreams, and tender moments, a refuge where vulnerability met strength. The wedding day bloomed like a dream, arched windows framed by fluttering curtains, crystal chandeliers casting a radiant glow, and bouquets of roses mingling with the scent of vanilla and amber. Sandy, a vision in silk and lace, met Richard's reverent gaze at the altar. His hand slid a simple, exquisite ring onto her finger, his vow, "I'll cherish you forever," resonating with deep devotion. Their first dance beneath sparkling lights was a cocoon of shared pain and newfound joy. Guests watched with tears as their love, forged in hardship, shone brilliantly. Later, in quiet intimacy, Richard and Sandy whispered promises, their love a sacred rhythm of healing and discovery. The honeymoon in Switzerland welcomed them with pristine snow, majestic mountains, and quiet enchantment. Walking hand in hand through charming chalets, they embraced the magic of new beginnings. Cozy mornings by the fire gave way to afternoons wandering snowy valleys, laughter warming the crisp air. Each moment was a thread in the rich tapestry of their life together, a life grounded in trust, love, and the promise of forever. Sandy's laughter floated light and clear, a melody born from deep joy that spilled from her soul. Together they raced down snowy slopes, cheeks flushed with cold and delight, their teasing smiles warming even the chilliest air. When tiredness settled in, they'd seek refuge by the fire, bodies curled close beneath thick blankets, sharing whispered secrets and quiet warmth. Richard's love bloomed in small, tender acts, hidden notes in pockets, soft kisses traced along her hairline, promises folded into everyday moments. Each message made Sandy's laughter ring like music, a joyful spark lighting the lodge and spilling into the night. Under the moon's gentle glow, wrapped in coats and scarves, they danced on snow that glittered like diamonds, whispering dreams, hopes, and secrets meant only for each other. His hands held hers steady and sure, every kiss a vow beneath silent mountains and whispering winds. Their honeymoon was more than a place. It was the magic of their bond, a love built on respect, admiration, and devotion. Richard treated Sandy like a queen, anticipating her needs, honoring her with quiet reverence, and filling her heart with a love so pure it stole her breath away. Together they left behind shadows of pain, weaving a new story stitched with laughter, trust, and tender care. Their days in Switzerland stretched like a blissful dream, each moment a thread in the tapestry of memories that would carry them through life's storms. Back home, the ordinary turned golden. Morning kisses, shared meals, and quiet evenings wrapped them in warmth. Richard's steady presence soothed Sandy's heart, his love a steady flame, driving away loneliness and fear. The past faded like a distant shadow. Only their present love remained, bright and unshakable. In every glance and touch, they found healing and hope. Together they faced the future, hand in hand, their hearts beating a steady song of devotion. A love story not just lived, but cherished, endless and true.